So Mindy, you were there as well on the front lines. Tell us what you think the world overlooked in the agreement and what was missed.
Thank you. That wasn't a question we talked. No. Frankly, I think the agreement was comprehensive, a great blueprint for action. So I don't know that it missed anything. But the important thing I would hope we're all thinking about, and we have been 3 seconds after we raised our champagne glasses in Paris, and thrilled, delighted. I mean, we could never have imagined an elegant, clear, 35-page document that changes the course of history. And going to a 1.5-degree world, or even a 2-degree world, but we all know we need to get to a 1.5-degree world, will demand a complete course correction and how we move forward as a community. So the answer is, I'm not sure I would second guess any of the negotiators in what they came out with. They came out with an extraordinary blueprint. The real issue is, and as I said 3 seconds later, and I have a PhD in worrying, so I was really worried 3 seconds later, how do we get there? What the 35-page document, of course, can't, nor would it, nor should it, be a guidepost of day by day by day, or what are the essential things? And I think that's what we need to be talking about. To say we're going to get to a 1.5-degree world is extraordinary. To get there is yet something else. It takes an enormous amount of power, of strategy, of course correction, and imagination and innovation, because it is a change in society unlike almost anything we've seen. A change for good, a necessary change, a compelling one, but an audacious one. And when I think about some of the 3 or 4 or 5 things quickly that we need to be thinking about, and to those who are from outside the walls of the United States, to the extent I have a U.S. bent, it is just where I toil every day, and I will try and keep it broader. But of the 4 or 5 things to make Paris a reality, the first one is we must change the discussion. In some places, it's still an environmental issue, a scientific issue. Everybody, whether you're a conservative or a progressive, a Republican or a Democrat in the United States, a blue state or a red state, we would each throw ourselves in front of a bus if that bus was coming at our child, regardless of what political stripe. We are human beings first. But that is not how this question is being discussed or thought about. It still has labels of environmentalists and progressives, or whatever the labels of our respective countries. We have got to, without scaring people, because that doesn't work, but we have got to change this debate so people understand it is that bus that is coming at our children and grandchildren, and we must, and we all would throw ourselves in front of it. Climate change is that bus. Secondly, we talk about what individuals could do, what corporations could do, what investors could do, and we'll flesh that out a bit more. But we must know that we're going to need policy changes. And if we need to change those in government to get those policy changes, that ought to be what we do. Because if we get 500 of the most progressive, innovative, thoughtful companies and 500 of the leading investors to act, there are 500,000 behind them that aren't necessarily prepared to act. We need policy changes that change the way we look at these things. And frankly, we need a price on carbon. Yep. Capital markets work pretty well when things are priced honestly, but right now carbon pollution in most places is priced at 0. When something's free, we get more of it. We don't want more carbon pollution. We need to put on a price of that pollution because it is costing society billions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars. And we need to do that sooner rather than later. I think there are innovators out there. I think we are making extraordinary progress. But it's got to be, this is about scale, it's about timing, it's about scope. And we can't move 500 companies and 200 investors in a few small countries. We need to move everything. Policy isn't going to happen uniformly in every country. We've got different rules, different ways of doing it, but we need to have a level playing field, and we need to make the change apply to everybody. We are seeing within corporate community, the financial community, at least the notion that they've got to do things differently. They're being innovative. Apples of the world and IKEAs are committing to 100% renewable. We're seeing extraordinary changes. But again, it's with the leaders and the innovators, and we need to drive that much more. And the same with the financial community. We need trillions of dollars a year. Not billions, not hundreds of billions, but trillions of dollars a year to build a clean energy economy that will have the ability to change and to get us to a 1.5 degree world. That we're not poised. Now, I'm optimistic. Right now, this year, $345 billion went into clean energy. That's a lot of money. I can imagine that being doubled by 2020, and I can imagine getting to the $1 trillion a year by 2030. But none of it's going to be easy. And then finally, as we think about boots on the ground, how do we make the Paris Agreement real rather than just rejoice in, and not suggesting anyone up here is doing that, but it is going to have to be a movement. I will say when 400,000 people rallied in New York City when the UN met a year and a half ago, it changed the debate, it changed the news media. We have got to see that times 100, times 1,000 around the world. And I'm with Mary. The youth are showing passion and audacity, but we need to see that turbocharged moving forward.